This is a lamp that I made from a piece of birch log that I was able to beg from a tree removal service. It was a log to 20 centimeters in diameter, about a meter long, and I turned it into a cylinder, perhaps 15 centimeters in diameter, and then wrapped it in plastic, airtight plastic sheeting for about 6 months. Allowed the green wood in the log to spalt. It came out rather nice. Of course, the log wasn't large enough to turn the base out, so what I did with the unused piece of log was sawed it into planks and made 2 8-piece segmented rings. One slightly smaller diameter and one larger diameter, and glued them together, glued the layers together onto the base to form the base of the lamp. Here's a piece of firewood that I think might make a nice lamp. It's a piece of diseased elm. It had a dog leg in it, so I cut it off at the dog leg. Might use this for the upright. Anyway, I run it across my jointer to create flat spots, enough that it would stay vertical on the bandsaw, and split it into 2 pieces. The longer piece had a fault, almost its full length, almost as if 2 trees had grown together. Run it through the bandsaw right at this fault, and you can see it's a rather diseased piece of wood. So what I've done is set up a 1 centimeter dado stack, and I just cut a groove before I glue these pieces back together again. 1 centimeter, approximately 3/8 of an inch. This is the rest of the firewood log, and I've split it, flattened it with a jointer, and now I want to cut 1-inch planks out of each one. So I'm going to make 2 6-sided rings for the base of the lamp. Smaller 6-sided ring for the base of my lamp, and I'm going to glue these segments together. A band clamp, and then this is the larger ring, and I'm going to treat it the same way. I've glued the larger 6-sided ring to some scraps that I've screwed to the faceplate for my lathe, and I'm going to mount it and just true up this face so I can glue on the second ring. I trued up the lower face of this second ring on my belt sander, and now I'm just going to glue it on here. Turned 1/12 of a turn out of alignment with the lower ring. So I'll glue and clamp these together. I've glued the smaller ring in place on the lamp base, and I'm just going to true it up, cut a round hole for the upright, and cut the two rings into a circle. Okay, let's see if we can find a lamp upright inside this log. Drive center, or spur center, and the tailstock center. Take shape. As you can see, I got quite a ways to go yet before I cut out all the flat spots. Well, I think this is pretty close to the final shape that I'll leave. The log is turned to be quite pretty up at the top end. Down at the bottom end, got a nasty crack. And I'm just going to cram that full of glue and sawdust paste. Okay, I just want to turn a tenon on the end of the upright to fit this hole in the base. Okay, I've got the tip to the correct size. I just need to take a little bit off. Okay, I've got a good glue joint between the upright and the base. And I'm going to try and turn the two of them together so I get a smooth line between the base and the upright part of the lamp. I've got the base to what I think is kind of a pleasing shape. And right now I'm working on the upright here, trying to improve its alignment and its flow into the curvature of the base. This might turn out to be the ugliest lamp I've ever made. Really what I did is I removed material from the firewood to get below the gashes made by the chainsaws when it was felled. And it's just left it with this shape. But it's got some interesting grain patterns. So I think I'll keep it. I did have some trouble. I filled up the gash, this crack that had been exposed, and as the wood dried, I guess it was greener than I thought. It separated this crack open. I had to dig out my fill and mix up some new filler to fill the crack. And then I drilled in from both ends, 1 inch diameter, so that reduced stress on the outside diameter of the wood. I've learned from turning vases that if I leave the parent wood on the base, they would crack. But if I cut the parent wood off and leave the vase completely open as a tube and put on a stable piece of hardwood like this walnut, the vases will not crack. So that's what I should have done first, in the first place. Instead of splitting this log into half, sawing a cord passage down through it, I should have drilled in from both ends, because it was fairly green wood. I'm satisfied now that it won't crack any further. I put on about 3 coats of tung oil, and now I'm going to apply some wax and install a tube for the cord, and I have drilled a 1/4 inch hole into the base for the lamp cord. Because I drilled in from both ends, I had to put a large wood plug in here to hold the tube for the lamp socket and shade harp. Okay, I'm ready to part the lamp off of this temporary mounting plate. I put a couple of coats of wax, put in the socket tube. I'm using a rather long socket tube because I want the shade high enough to allow this wood pattern to be displayed. I'm cutting in at an angle with the parting tool because I want to have a slightly cup-shaped base so the lamp is nice and stable when it stands. When the base separated from my block on the flake plate, it left quite a ridge. I'm just going to use my belt sander as a drum sander to take off that. Here's the finished project, and I think it turned out pretty well. I borrowed the shade off the original just to see how it looks. It's 20 inches tall, and the base diameter is about 9.5 inches. Here's the original for comparison, and the original does have a little more pronounced spalting in the grain, and perhaps the new one would have had I wrapped it up in plastic and left it to spalt for about 6 months. However, I'm pleased with the appearance. I think it's certainly unique, one of a kind design. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and thanks for forwarding information on my channel to other folks. Old Tom here is making a little racket in the background. I guess he's looking for some affection.